Guys, I made a mistake. I made a terrible mistake. I completely forgot that I'd been just kind of using it as an all-purpose uh, paint cup, and so every time I cleaned out my palette, I was just get rinsing the brushes in there, and it was disgusting. I was actually just trying to clean off my Winsor and Newton brush with some IPA, and then you know, wiping the paint particles on my paper towel and then pushing it in the water to get the IPA off. And when I dragged it across the paper towel, it just left this horrifying black mark all over it, which was made even worse by the fact that the paper towel was filthy. So I just went upstairs and rinsed it out pretty good. And to give you an idea of how disgusting this paint cup was, it's still gray. I didn't quite scrub it with soap and water or anything, but I hid it under the sink and rinsed it out quite a bit. And it is now definitely still like a murky gray. I can kind of see the bottom. So after tonight, I think I'm going to go ahead and soak this thing in alcohol or something because it's bad. I have made mistakes. That being said, how are you doing? It is 7:11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And, I was just not expecting to be that horrified by my paint water. But yeah, I got to drop off the witch hunters, and the client really liked them. And it sounds like there's at least 3 or 4 other people who he and another client are kind of showing my art to. So I might start having more painting to do. And while I do appreciate it, because it means I'll start having more hobby money, it also means that I'm never going to finish that kill team. No, he didn't. Thank goodness he did not give me another box. He didn't. I don't think he's done printing out and assembling what he wants to give me. But I already know that the gentleman who I did the ducks for, he's got another Blood Bowl team he wants me to do based off of mythological Japanese like boxes. And he also wants me to do a Void Scarred Corsair kill team. And then there's there's I have a client list. When the kill team is done, you're in need of more commissions. I'm never gonna finish this kill team. I'm never gonna get to play kill team ever again. But that's okay. That's okay. Okay. Let's see. So for those who don't know, I am Benry Paints. I am a small-time miniature painter who also does commissions, and right now that is something I am working on. I hope your guys' week has been good. This Thursday might end up becoming the new day for the foreseeable future for streaming, because it looks like the coworker who was supposed to come back Monday is going to be out for the rest of the month. And he's an older gentleman, not much older. He's in his mid-50s. But we're kind of in the belief that he might not be coming back, period. Because he once told us that if he were ever going to quit that job, he would just leave and then keep using his paid overtime until he was out, and then he'd just never come back. So, hey, Snowtwig, how's it going? And so far he's been gone. He'll have been gone for over a month. And, yeah, it looks like, we don't know. We hope he comes back. We hope he's doing okay. But, I think I'm kind of taking over his position as liaison to one of the facilities that's not in downtown, and that means I'm going to be waking up early and going to that job early, which means Tuesdays are now going to be Benry Paints is too tired to paint days. So Thursday or Friday might end up becoming the painting day, depending on how other things work out. But yeah, okay. First of all, for those who don't know, Dark Vault did new art, and I love it because it's me. Today's actually I'm 13 minutes after midnight. Yesterday's been okay. I got my early December order that arrived: Space Marine Heroes Terminators and the Command Squad. That is very cool, Dark Vault, and I'm excited to see what you're going to do with them. I'd love to get the Command Squad. That is a very cool set of models. But yeah, I didn't realize it, but my ad blocker was allowing the streaming music to just kind of play. We don't need these music credits anymore. Wait, no, we do. We're just going to change them. Mechanicus OST. There we go. And so I'm not using that anymore. I'm just going to use the Mechanicus OST. And but yes, anyway, what was I saying? Yes, Darkvolt did this new sketch of my VTuber looking pretty dejected while he is surrounded by rats. And the only reason I can think of is that he ran out of rats to paint, because you can never have enough rats. And I greatly appreciate that they're the Rennie right here rats, because those are a fantastic silhouette, and I kind of love them. That being said, I am no longer starting soon. I am now starting now. So hopefully I have the camera positioned okay. I went ahead and fixed the zoom, so it's not gonna focus anymore. It's just gonna stay focused. But I've got it zoomed in so that the only place it really can focus is right there. Yeah, I know. I can't be upset when one has a gun. I should definitely... I mean, look at that. Look at how happy that rat is, by the way. Look how happy that lad is that he's got a gun. I love that his immediate instinct is correct, and it's to fire the damn thing. Because if someone puts a gun in my hand, I'm gonna shoot it. And so I think the rat was well justified in his actions, because that's what you do. Yeah, I'm excited. Anyway, okay. So what I have for you today, considering the made to order only took 3 months, I'm expecting my terrain to show up at the beginning of April. Yeah, maybe. I can't wait until I have more money to actually buy Games Workshop stuff again. But right now, I have this lad, and I wasn't aware of it at the time, but apparently this is a more recent sculpt of Doc Octopus, and apparently the MCP people have just kind of gotten better and better at posing their guy dynamically. And if you compare this to other sculpts, this is just a much better sculpt altogether. And honestly, I think that's one of the reasons I chose it. It's just a darn good sculpt. He's obviously not just trying to be menacing, but I think this one characterizes him really well. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna go ahead and start working on him. And even though I'm not getting paid a whole lot for doing this one, because I charged the gentleman what I guess would be considered standard fare for a tabletop ready mini, I want to do really well on him because he is such a neat one. So I'm probably gonna spend all evening painting him up and trying to do a good job on him. So we will see how that goes, and hopefully I'll be able to do some fun stuff with the green. Yes, we are doing the green and yellow. I'm actually going off of the box art for these guys. So I'm very much doing this one, this art of him. I'm gonna try and mimic this style to the best of my ability, and we're gonna see how it turns out. But my plan is to emulate this specific paint scheme as best I can. So yeah, we'll see how this turns out. We'll see how it goes. But yeah. So I'm gonna need to get me. I haven't even got my paints out. That's how pretty unprepared I am. Not doing yellow for the stitch lines, more manageable. Yeah, I mean I could, I guess. It's possible. What colors am I gonna need to do this? I think I'm not gonna be doing the typhus stuff for this guy. So he's gonna get a purple color for most of the shadow, and then it's going to work its way up to the green that I use, and then up to a yellowy highlight. I don't need to. Now, see, I actually... Where's the guy? I think he's supposed to be Shang-Chi. That kind of happened where he had, like, white trim and black trim, and, again, this was more of a tabletop standard, so I wasn't working super hard on him. Yeah, there are a ton of Marvel villains that are green and yellow. But you can kind of see for him, I tried to get the trim as best I could, but I also wasn't using a super fine brush, so I could probably do better. And I don't know if I want to or if I will, but you know, it's a thing. So the first thing I'm going to be using, because it's the only purple I have, is this royal purple. Warhammer trained us well. I know, right? I'm pretty, especially Chaos Marines and like. I'm pretty jazzed that a lot of the skills have transferred over to a not completely different paint style, but you know what I mean. Definitely a different paint style. Shoulder trims, exactly. It's just all over the place. So in this case, my God, this paint water. It makes me so sad. Something that I did find helped really well with that and prevented a lot of the issues I tend to have with painting small areas is adding some flow improver instead of water, because that would thin down the paint without making it like bead. You know what I mean? And that really helped a lot with hitting some of those super fine spots. So if you ever want a good paint type, oh god, this feels very odd. A good thing to use to thin down your paints without making them runny, well, too runny and diluted. Flow Improver did a really good job with that. And it's not like it's a special secret Flow Improver. It's literally the stuff I got at Joann's or something. Helps with me most is a really good brush tip. That is true. That definitely helps. Unfortunately, I am a lazy little bitch, and instead of using one of my nice ones, I think I did use my Winsor & Newton, but it's the tip on it is definitely not as good as it used to be. So it's doable, but it's still not great. Yeah, I'm honestly surprised at how good the Flow Improver is from it was either Michaels or Joann's. I don't remember which. I do know that, unfortunately, America is losing Joann fabric soon, which sucks for a lot of people because that was a great place for crafting. And so I feel real bad for the individuals who made heavy use of Joann fabrics for their cosplays and their arts and crafts and all that stuff. And I'm actually including myself in that sentence because I used to go to Joann's and buy brushes and paints and inks that I'd never use. So knowing that it's gone feels bad, you know? I actually got my Super Stacker Army boxes from them, and they were really good, cheap alternatives for really useful boxes. So yeah, it kind of sucks that they don't exist anymore. Or they won't. I don't know if they're completely gone. You ran there and grabbed glue not long ago? Yeah, my understanding is that there was an attempt to save them, and that attempt unfortunately fell through, so Joann's isn't going to be around for much longer. Because venture capitalists decided that it was more valuable to them by letting it go bankrupt and selling off the assets than it would be to keep the company afloat. But who knows? Maybe it'll do like Toys R Us, and it'll get a revival. You've seen many hobby stores from my younger years close up because the owners retired. It hurts every time. Yeah, that's definitely a thing too, and I could understand why it would be like, oh, I felt that one. Unfortunately, in the United States, a lot of those are already dead because places like Walmart have killed them, and that's the worst. And also a big reason why I prefer shopping at some of the local hobby shops as opposed to just buying everything off of Amazon. Okay. I think me globbing this in is going to be okay. I don't know. It feels like we haven't had mom and pop shops, real mom and pop shops, for quite a while. And even some of the smaller big box stores, which is a weird sentence to say, have gone the way of the dodo. Like, there used to be a place called Radio Shack that specialized in that kind of, like, circuitry and mechanics. And once they died, and went out of business, it really became difficult to find any place that does that kind of stuff, because now everyone just wants to sell you a new version of whatever you're trying to repair, instead of having the expertise to repair it for you. You miss Radio Shack? I was too young to appreciate it. Like, I guarantee you, had I been a little older, or had a slightly different upbringing, I'd probably still be grieving Radio Shack today. But unfortunately, all my hobbies revolved around, like, video games as a kid. So, my appreciation for Radio Shack doesn't exist in a way like it should. but like all my friends who were much bigger into electronics and models and that kind of stuff, they tell me all the time that losing Radio Shack hurt the worst. Okay. So, gonna mix in some green with this. This is just, what is this? What kind of green did I grab? This is Vallejo flat green, which as you can see is pretty worn out. I'm actually almost out of. Circuit City was the alternative to Best Buy. Yes, it was, and again, didn't really go there enough, but from what I understood, it was a pretty darn good one. I think the only strong memory I have of Circuit City was, I'm pretty sure I got Street Fighter 2 from there when I was a wee little tater tot. And when they were going out of business, I was at college. And so I went to the Circuit City in the college town, and I saw that they were having like a liquidation sale. And they had two TVs that were similarly sized, but one of them was 720p and one of them was 1080p. And I think the 1080p one was a little bit bigger. And so I didn't really know the difference because still in college, not super technical yet. And so I stopped one of the employees and asked him, you know, I know that the resolution on these is a little different, but is there anything else you can tell me that differentiates these two? And he just kind of looked at me like I was stupid and said, well, one's 780 or one's 720 and one's 1080. And just kind of stared at me as though he were waiting for me to say something. So I just said, thanks. And then he walked away. And at first, all I could think of was, yeah, no wonder this place is going out of fucking business. But then I realized he didn't have a job for much longer, so he probably really didn't care anymore. But yeah, that's like all I remember about Circuit City. That, and I'm pretty sure one of my friends who moved out to the Midwest, I think he still has that TV, and it still works. And he has it in like his bedroom. And I'm also pretty positive that that TV is close to 20 years old now. Would it be 20? Yeah, no, 15 years old. I haven't been out of college that long. But yeah, Best Buy is not Circuit City. Was it a tube TV? No, it was one of the first small, and I'm going to use this word pretty loosely, portable flat screen TVs. I think if you included the bezel and the frame, by today's standard, it would be like a 45-inch TV or a 50-inch TV. But at the time, it was a 37-inch TV with 1080p resolution on it. And so I felt like hot shit when I walked out of there with a 37-inch 1080p television that I spent like $500 on. You used to work there in college back in 2005. Oh, hi, Array and Deeves. Thank you for joining. I'm Ben Repaints, and that's a heck of a first-time chat you got there. Yeah, I think Circuit City closed down where I was around 2008 or 2009. So you basically were there like right before. Happy to be here. Thank you. So yeah, I'm painting Marvel Crisis Protocol, which is not something I normally paint. This is actually a commission, and I'm working on Doc Ock right now. It's one of like 9 figures that the guy just gave me because I painted a couple for him, and I guess he liked them so much that when I dropped them off, he just handed me these and told me, take your time. But I like this model so much that that I'm gonna try and do a really good job with this guy. He's only paying me for tabletop. I'm gonna give him tabletop plus, if not better, if I can help it. But yeah, Circuit City was a whole ass thing, and now unfortunately it's not, and that sucks. We were talking about old stores that don't exist anymore that we miss. Oh, thank you for the follow. Do a good job. Take my time. Yep, that's the point, because I realized that, especially because of how this is gonna sound weird, but Space Marine-esque a lot of Marvel costumes are. I can get a lot of really good work done really quickly. and I kind of don't want to rush through these too much. I finished a couple of them in like an hour each, and that just feels like too little time for the money they're paying me. So I'm gonna take my time with these guys and really try and make them look good, gooder, cartoony. Yes, that is true. And so that's kind of the plan. That's why I kind of started in that purple, and I'm slowly working my way up to what's eventually going to be a very bright highlighted green. Very saturated. And we'll see exactly how this turns out, because it's not something I've done very often, at least not this style. So, we'll see if it ends up looking any good. I can really imagine painting a Hulkbuster Iron Man like a Terminator. I mean, it kind of is. And I do know that they make a mini for it, and I have seen that thing, and I do think it looks really cool. And I would be lying if I said I didn't want one. I don't know how big it is, but it could also play the role of, like, a dreadnought of some kind. But yeah, I'm not the biggest Marvel fan in the world. I thought I've watched some of the movies and liked them well enough, but I really dig these models because they just make me think of my childhood, where these were everywhere. And again, not the biggest fan, but still, I think it's really cool to kind of see them get a new lease on life with these fantastic sculpts. Can't say you've ever seen anyone sketch this way. You're intrigued. I did this kind of on a LARP with the last couple models I did, where I went ahead and did like a Zenithal Prime, and then I hit the darker spots with the darker color that I was going to use, and then I just kind of quickly slapped on the mid-tone color next to it and smoothed out the blends because I was working quickly. But yeah, I'm just trying this out, and I'm eventually going to go back and try and smooth it out even more with a much better brush, and then try and really blend out the highlights with again a much better brush. So we'll see how it all turns out. You got me a Hulkbuster from Disney Infinity. Don't own the game, but you love the big chunky armor. Yeah, it's good. The Hulkbuster armor is fantastic. It makes me think of Mega Man, of all things. And I think that's because my first exposure to, like, overbuilt armor that slowed down a character but made them stronger was in Mega Man 6, when you could, when Rush would transmogrify and you could equip him and he'd be like a jetpack or heavy armor or whatever else he would be. And from what I remember, like, Mega Man 6 wasn't a very popular game, but it was the first and only standard Mega Man I owned, so I liked it a lot. I was always real bad at those games, and so I don't think we bought very many, if any of them. Okay. And eventually all of these spots I'm kind of hitting with a little bit more of the regular green are going to get a much brighter highlight. But we're working our way there. Also has Gutsman vibes. Hi, Benry said I can borrow you. Isidore, yeah. He really likes your art, Darkbolt. So I don't know if borrowing is the right word, because so far everything that Darkbolt has done has been entirely voluntary on their part. And at some point I'd love to pay them, but right now, actually, to be honest, we're getting closer to that if the commissions keep coming. But yeah, he really liked your art, so hopefully that connection will be nice and you'll be able to do some really cool stuff and make some money for it. Okay. And at some point also, I'm going to move away from using this this flat green as like my green mid-tone for everything, because I like it a lot, but it is definitely a very one-note color. Okay. Making money would be nice, I know, right? I'm still kind of Twitter-pated in the fact that I stumbled into a group of people who used to have a regular mini painter, and that person stopped being able to do it, so now they're just starving to throw their cash at someone who can paint their minis for them. It feels very odd, but I'm vibing with it. Okay. Let's see if I can hit this collar without hitting too much of his nick. Okay. But yeah, Darkvault, at some point I'm going to commission you to do a turnaround of that model, because I think that's going to become my new Beat Tumor model. You still need green for the Death Guard kill team? Yeah, I will eventually. My eventual plan, actually, is to go ahead and completely phase out Vallejo in favor of Proacryl, because I like them so much more. But I think I found pretty good equivalents for everything I use. So hopefully that'll all be okay. One moment. Okay, all that stuff is yellow, so I can definitely do this. Oh, including that part. That should have been yellow. Oh well. That'll be fine. Okay, so next is going to be, I want the line there. I think I want to move that. No, I know what I want to do. I want to move this. So again, another standard. I use Averland Sunset for everything because it's a very chonky yellow. And even though it does read a little bit more burnt orange, I think it does a good job of being a nice foundational yellow for like everything I do. Your Dark Beaded Skaven on Instagram with Red. Thank you. Hey Red, how's it going? Yeah, I don't remember what I was doing with Skaven. I do know I was going like a Clan Pestilence aesthetic, and I think by and large I hit it. But then I tend to get overwhelmed with big numbers, even though I want to play armies with big numbers. So it feels kind of defeatist, but I got overwhelmed with the sheer mass of Skaven, and I just started taking shortcuts. And somehow they worked out. So kudos to me, I guess. Okay, take a little bit of that yellow, mix it in with the green. This green up to almost like a lime green. How you doing, Red? How's it going? How are things? I feel like I see less and less of you because my streaming becomes increasingly erratic as I get busier. And I am trying to be more consistent. Okay. A little bit of good news, though. At least busy painting Old World Dwarves, now Blood Bowl Dwarves. That sounds like a good problem to have. Dwarves are always that army. They're kind of like orcs for me, in that they're an army that I want to get started with, but I just never have the time to do so. And whenever I finally have money to be like, I want to buy dwarves, something else comes out, and that takes precedence. So at some point, I'm going to have dwarves, and I'm going to have orcs, and I'm going to make them fight each other, because it's a tale as old as time. And it needs to be told again. Just a little bit of sketchy highlighting there, and I'll come back and hit that much higher later. Right now I'm just trying to get some little subtle highlights on like the clothing wrinkles, so that I can then hit them with something much more focused later. So I will say, I showed you the Old World Dwarfs, didn't I? Yes, you did. Yes, you did. You showed me some really good ones. And if you want to post even more progress, I highly encourage it, because I can always take a break and take a quick look at them. But the ones you did show were freaking awesome, because you're a good painter, and I enjoy seeing your fantasy stuff. I will say, some of the good news that I do have, though, is it's starting to get warmer, which is always fun, because that means that my basement is starting to thaw again. Because while it isn't freezing cold, it is definitely too cold to do any 3D printing. So the fact that it's getting warmer again means I can start 3D printing again. And I have things that I want to 3D print. I've got a whole ass Fulgrim transfigured that I'm waiting on. So hopefully I'll be getting to the point where I can run that experiment and see if I can get myself a Fulgrim for like 1/10 of the cost of the actual Fulgrim. Because that makes me happy. I'd love to get the resin Fulgrim, but I've realized that my resin is better than the Forge World resin, so I'd rather have a my resin Fulgrim than a Forge World resin Fulgrim. Okay, I don't know how well it's showing on the stream because my glasses are off, but
this guy's left legu now has some highlighting on it. Some very subtle highlighting that will eventually get brighter as I move closer to yellow. But right now, it's just enough to give contrast. That's good. That's good. Okay. So, onto the other leg. I don't want to highlight this guy's groin. Thank you. I'll take a look at it in a second. I guess I'm going to highlight this guy's groin. I mean, it's plastic. It's a model. What can it do to me? Okay. I'm going to take a break from highlighting this guy's groin to look at some dwarf models. Still got a lot to do? Well, that's always the best feeling, though, because that just means you got more stuff. Oh, you haven't shown me these. Oh, Blood Bowl. Oh, look at the Blood Bowl. Oh, my goodness. I'm just now starting to get into Blood Bowl. So I have my own Nurgle's Rotters, and I love them. I want to repaint them, you know, to add more to the queue, but I love them. Oh, this is, you got the process going on. That's very cool. So, yeah, at some point I'm going to repaint those. Tell me where he touched me. Ugh. You have fun highlighting Eldar butts. Well, it's like they're wearing nothing at all. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. Okay. There we go. We got some dwarf football characters. And yeah, those look fantastic. And then we got this shot, which is a work in progress. I love the color choices because I always love purple on a mini. And I love seeing how it contrasts with, you know, yellows because it always looks great. And there we go. Speaking of yellow, look at that. That's a good color combination. And again, given how small the dwarven models are, that looks fantastic. And also, I love the fact that he's got a full-ass beard. Because, don't get me wrong, dwarves without beards are cool. Because then you get to see the strong jawlines. But I grew up on dwarves with huge beards that cover their torso. So whenever I see it, it activates the neurons and makes me happy. Like this guy. This Grombrindle looking dude. I love it. He's all beard. I don't even know where his legs are. And that's perfectly fine. He looks fantastic. Boom. Okay. Let's get back to work on this guy. Okay. I wouldn't want to know where Doc Ock touched me. He's got too many feelies for that. Okay. So, going back to mixing some of that Averland Sunset with some of that flat green. And what I actually like about this, and it's something that you kind of got to learn with your paints, is how they dry. Because you might slap on a color and it comes off as super vibrant or super dark or super bright. And then you give it a second to dry down, and then suddenly it loses that sheen because it's a matte paint. So as you're painting your dudes and your gals and your non-binary pals, try and be cognizant of what the paint looks like after it dries on your mini. Because that can matter it can matter just as much, if not more so, than what it looks like when it first goes on the mini. And that's something that's taken me for freaking ever to learn. So, hopefully me talking about that will help other people grow in that skill as well. Okay. And he's got, like... He's a remarkably muscular man for someone who is just kind of a university professor. Or whatever Doc Ock was. I honestly forgot. Because I don't Marvel very well. But, in Spider-Man 2, I'm pretty sure he was a university professor. Played by the always fantastic Alfred Molina, who is like one of my favorite actors that I feel doesn't get enough credit for how good he is in like everything the man does. Like, I really appreciated how much pathos he was able to bring to the character in what was essentially a tribute cameo in No Way Home. But that was also probably just me filling that in just because I liked the character a lot in Spider-Man 2. Okay. So there we go. There's the other knee done, at least with the initial highlight. It's going to go brighter as I continue to work on him, but for a second layer, I think that's good enough. And now, onto him tummy. First thing I'm going to do is highlight some of this trim because it is raised, so it makes sense for me to do so. And also, if you've never used a Kolinsky Sable brush, I can strongly recommend you do, because the Kolinsky Sable brush holds a tip better. So doing stuff like this, I'm never going to say it's easy, but it's made less difficult by having good equipment. And like, I feel like I could definitely do this with a synthetic brush, but I also feel like I'd hate myself more in doing so. So if that's as often as you can, work with the best equipment you can afford. Okay. And so hopefully this paint job will be very, very subtle, and eventually will get increasingly loud as I continue working on it. Because yeah, I'm trying to go for like comic book vibrance with this eventually. Okay, that might still be just a little too bright. That's okay. Okay, the middle one. There we go. And of course, I'm doing all these tiny little wrinkles. And it's like, there's nothing to watch. We can barely see it. But I promise you, we're laying down a foundation, folks. Eventually, this will be super noticeable once we start getting into the higher highlight colors. Now, the one thing I didn't do for a lot of this that I could have done, and probably should have done a little more of, is more deeply highlighting some, or shading some of the creases in his chest. Posted the Eldar butt. Let's go, Eldar butt. Look at that cake. That's all it is. Oh my goodness. It's even funnier because I've been watching Onsta play Yakuza, Lost Judgment, and every time Kaito is on screen, she just absolutely loses her shit over Kaito and his cake. So this is very funny to me, just because that's been the thing I've been watching. Yep, so there's some Eldar butt. Very well painted Eldar butt. So kudos to you. And if you give me a second, I was too tickled by that, so I didn't even think to get the other one. But there is the other one. There's the front. There's some Eldar front. And again, I need to get Eldar. I'm going to start painting Eldar. I need to get myself some Void Scarred Corsairs, so I have a chance at painting me some Eldar. But yes, thank you for that, and thank you for reminding me once again that I need to play more Yakuza. I recently reacquired Yakuza 0, and I've been kind of working my way through it very slowly. And that game just never disappoints. Everything about Yakuza is just so darn good. Okay. So I'm adding just a little bit more Averland Sunset into this mix. And honestly, this might be too subtle for what I want to do. So I might start going up even brighter with it, because I'm not sure how well that's popping up. It's the free model this month. The local Warhammer store that I have is at least 2.5, 3 hours away. So I'm not getting to a local Warhammer store anytime soon. Unfortunately, I live in a really good place because I'm within about 2.5 hours of everything important. But I also live in a place where I'm about 2.5 hours from everything important. Yeah, I really wanted that Dark Angel Terminator that they did back, like, last year. And the closest I could get to it was asking a friend of my wife, my partner, to go and get it if she was ever in town. And unfortunately, that never happened. So that free mini just became a pipe dream. But that's okay. I honestly have enough to paint that I didn't need it. But yeah, at some point, I'll start painting some Eldar. And I think it would be best for me to stick with something small, like that free mini, or like the Void Scarred Corsairs, because I'm gonna feel like I need to build an army, and that's really stupid because I have enough armies right now. I should really just focus on, you know, one mini at a time or one small squad at a time. Would have gone great with the lion paint job. I know, right? I found a decent STL proxy of the Deathwing Terminator squad, so I'm probably at some point going to print that and make it the Lion's personal guard, and then I'm going to print it again, and I'm going to kit bash the hell out of it and turn them into new Assault Terminators. Or I'll just buy the actual ones and turn those into Assault Terminators. I haven't thought about it yet. I just like those sculpts because they're really cool. And I'm pretty sure I can scrape off most of the iconography, which hurts to say, and eventually turn those into just like Imperial Fist hammer Terminators. And I'm not sure how loud it is in your guys' ears, but I love the Mechanicus soundtrack so much. I cannot wait for Robert Guillaume to do Mechanicus 2. There is always more time. For hobbies, yes. But there's a lot of things that I feel like I should probably do before time runs out. Yeah, I'm excited to have this hobby because I don't know if I've talked about it before, but I tend to like cycle through hobbies pretty bad. And at one point, it was a thing where I would like spend $1,000 and then I'd be done with the hobby. Like, I've invested enough into this hobby, I've gotten all that I personally can out of it in terms of enjoyment, and now I'm done with it. And it kind of happened with Magic the Gathering. It happened with some of the historical reenactment stuff I was really into. It happened to boxing when I was super into boxing and training. But miniature painting and Warhammer seem to have stuck around and sunk their claws pretty deep into me. So I anticipate having plenty of hobby time to do cool hobby stuff. And it really helps that the hobby's kind of blowing up. And so that's just giving me more opportunity to paint things that I otherwise wouldn't paint. Like Marvel Crisis Protocol, I'm not sure if it was a thing when I first started. It might have been in its early stages. But it's obviously become popular enough that they've made a ton new cool models. And honestly, it's just fun stuff to paint, you know? And again, I don't know how well this is kind of presenting on the camera, but you can see his... I don't know if I'll manage to finish my pile of plastic, but I enjoy working on it when inspiration strikes. And since I don't really play, you have no immediate deadline. And that's the beauty of it, right? Because it is a hobby, there is no deadline. It's just, you have this, what's essentially an endless pile of joy that doesn't hurt anyone else. And that's kind of the fun of it. But yeah, you can see the difference now, I hope, between left leggy and right leggy in terms of the amount of highlight work that's been done on it. And I'm going to continue to go up there with the colors. So there's going to be even brighter highlights happening. It's just that's kind of where I'm stopping right now with this layer, so that I can move on to the other leg. And what's kind of neat is I still haven't even gone to full Averland Sunset. This is still just that flat green with a little more Averland Sunset added in. Okay. Go ahead and eventually get some paint on here. Get that a little harder. There we go. But yeah, I think that's something else that I've really grown to like about this hobby is like, there is no obligation to play. You can just engage with it the way you want to, and there's enough there that it still feels fulfilling either way. Because honestly, one of the worst feelings about Magic was creating these decks and then not having anyone to play with, or not being able to play them. And so, just having these models to be able to display, and that's been the coolest thing to me, is they become little art pieces, right? And so I love that about it. One day you'll get the itch to paint red armor, and you have a squad of Marines, and your Space Hulk qualifies for that. Exactly. Man, Space Hulk. I hope they re-release Space Hulk because I want me a Space Hulk. And my understanding is that, honestly, I could probably make a Space Hulk board game because the only thing you really need are the rules. And they made the Gallo Dark terrain, which can double finely as Space Hulk terrain, if I recall properly. And I could probably make the Terminators myself. And then there's Gene Stealers, which I actually have a ton of third-party ones because someone commissioned me to print them for them. So I could probably make Space Hulk if I really felt determined to. Okay. Hopefully, again, I don't know how well this is displaying on the camera because I know the camera's a little washed out due to my need for good lighting, but hopefully this is coming through loud and clear that even though these are very tiny incremental improvements, they are creating some nice highlights that really sell depth in his leg. So yeah, I'm going to talk about work for a minute because I had a day yesterday, or the day before yesterday. So I work in IT now at like the lowest level. I work as a service desk operator, which means that very much so I got plenty of Deathwing to fill my Space Hulk roster, and I batch painted all my Gene Stealers of the box, so you're ready to go. That's awesome. That's awesome and exciting. I hope that you can get some real enjoyment out of those Space Hulkies and those Gene Stealers. But yeah, I answer service desk calls now. So if someone doesn't, if their computer stops working, or if a program isn't loading right, or they need the password reset, we do that stuff. EP gotta go. It was good catching you streaming. Thank you. And yeah, go to bed, Snow Twig. Have a good evening. Get all the rest in the world. The best feeling. Thank you for joining me. Have a good evening. And so I get calls from all over the city with varying degrees of importance and priority for various issues. And on Tuesday, I got a call from one of the city attorneys, one of the lawyers, and he's like, yeah, I've got this external hard drive, and I can't access it. It's not opening. Can you take a look at it? And my first thought is, you're a lawyer, sir. I shouldn't be looking in your external hard drive. And given that it's most likely failing, you should take that to forensics over at the police department because they have far more delicate data recovery tools than we do. And he kind of balked at that and was like, but can't I take it to you? And I hemmed and hawed a bit, and thankfully one of my superiors happened to be in the room working on something else, and he heard my conversation, and he was like, yeah, you've got training for this kind of stuff, Ben Repaints, and don't worry, I'll help you with it. When he brings it over, we'll look at it together and I'll walk you through it. And so I went, okay, sure, go ahead and bring it over, and we'll try and recover as much data as we can from it. Is there anything that we need to look out for? And he told me about these 3 cases that he's currently working on, and he told me my entire life, or my entire career is on that drive. And I just about shat my pants because a lawyer was putting his entire career's worth of case files in my hands. And it's like, I've only been here for 6 months, guys. This is scary. But the superior that helped me, he's like a member of infrastructure, which is networking and stuff, and he used to work where I'm working. So he was kind of like, yeah, don't worry about it, I'll help you. And so we try and access the disk, and we can't. And we try and use our special backup program, and we can't. So he's just like, nope, stop it. We're not touching it anymore. Because the more you try and access a drive, the more likely it is to just mechanically fail if it's not working. And so, yeah, he ended up having to tell the lawyer, yeah, our tools cannot access this drive, and we stop before we cause permanent damage. So I strongly suggest you take this to a third-party data extraction service and have them do it.
But yeah, I know that's not a super exciting story or anything, other than the fact that this poor man, this poor individual, this poor person who's making 4 times as much money as I am, decided to put the entirety of their career on a single external hard drive. And it wasn't even like a solid state drive. It was just a straight up flash drive. Or I mean, a hard disk drive. So, yeah. Let that be a lesson to anyone who is in here or watching this. Back up your shit. There's an old IT thing that hopefully you guys are aware of for backup called 321. And it's short for 3 copies, 2 different mediums, and one copy of it off-site. This man would be able to buy the Emperor's Children box and didn't even think of getting an extra backup. Yeah, exactly. It was a bad time. It was a bad time. And like I said, the main reason I was anxious is because I didn't want to have to tell this guy, sorry, your data's lost. You were stupid for putting this on here. Which I didn't say. I would never say that straight to a lawyer, because he'd find ways to destroy my life that I didn't even know existed. But he was remarkably calm, if not obviously dejected. The infrastructure gentleman who was helping me is the one who went ahead and broke the news to him. But yeah, back up your data, please. Don't leave your files, your important files, on the same drive as your operating system, and try and have a copy of your most important data on a medium that is not regularly used. Yeah, being dejected is a strong word. Yeah, I know, right? It was scary. And of course, I'm also having flashbacks because I just got through dealing with something very similar with my partner, because like I think I mentioned before, her computer, I built her a computer when she first moved down here with me, because she was getting out of a job she didn't like with like a photography studio, and she had also started an independent art career, but it was kind of a secondary thing to her other job, which paid the bills. And after COVID, that job kind of fell to the wayside, and then she was eventually she moved up here with me and got married and all that fun stuff. So it's like, you know what, we are financially stable enough. How about you make a go for this art career thing, and I'll continue doing my job and we'll be fine. And so that's what we did for a while. So she had like 5 years worth of stuff on her computer. And all of a sudden, a couple weeks ago, the operating system was just like, yeah, I don't trust this account anymore, so I'm going to reformat the entire hard drive and reinstall Windows 10. And so that's what it did. It reformatted the entire drive, deleted her account, deleted my account, which was the first one on there, and completely reinstalled Windows 10. And that really sucked. We have no idea what caused it, because everything that was on that computer was legit. I made sure when I first put the computer together and whatnot that I did not download anything illegal, that I didn't pirate anything. There was nothing on that computer that was in any way, shape, or form, able to get either of us in trouble. But for some reason, it just decided when it did like a Windows update or something. We don't even know, because she leaves it on and lets it go to sleep when she's not working on it. She was downstairs watching TV with me and eating dinner. And when we went upstairs to bed, she went to check on it in the office and saw that it was trying to get her to re-register Windows, or to like reset up Windows. And when she got to the main screen, like, it made her recreate her profile and everything. There was nothing in there. And in like the Windows old folder, it was blank. There was nothing in there either. So it just completely deleted 5 years worth of art data. Windows loves to just auto-update without permission. Yeah, and that's the thing, is that apparently when I first set up that computer and bought the motherboard and everything, it was right
in the middle of the transition to Secure Boot and TPM, Trusted Platform Module, and those are supposed to increase stability. But in this case, the motherboard didn't have those naturally enabled. And so I guess it decided that since that wasn't a thing, that it needed to wipe the hard drive. And I think it enabled TPM, but it did not enable Secure Boot. So I don't know what happened. But the thing that sucked worse about this is that I gave her an external hard drive that was like a 2 terabyte external hard drive. And we just plugged it into the computer, and I told her, you can back up all your files on this. And she did that a little bit, but she had been saving everything just on the desktop in subfolders. And so it was one of those things of like, you should have known better, but who the hell is going to say that to someone who just lost 5 years of stuff? So they obviously knew that, but either way, it just further reinforced for me why it's so important to have redundant backups of important data and to not friggin' trust Windows. And to sum that story up, that's why I was hyperventilating and going through a really bad time on Tuesday. Was it Tuesday? Yeah, Tuesday. While I was dealing with this lawyer's faulty external hard drive. Because it's just like, oh man, this is bringing back some bad memories. Now, the good news is she basically doesn't trust the OS anymore, and she is backing everything up very passionately onto that external hard drive. But that did set her back, like, a lot with some of the projects she was working on. So yeah, that sucked. Okay, one moment. Okay, yeah, he's wearing a collar and the gloves. So, you can probably guess, but this orange is going to be the shade color for the yellow that I'm eventually going to use. And I will say right now, completely honest, no filter, I hate painting with orange, and I hate Vallejo's orange, because it is like the trashiest tier color when it comes to both coverage and consistency. In 2020, my hard drive died, killing 20 years of my work. Ugh. So I very well know the feeling of, I'm stupid, why didn't I do that? If only I knew this was going to happen a day ago, it could have saved so much. I know. The thing that actually taught me that lesson was that happening to me constantly when I was still pirating a ton of stuff when I was younger. Because, I mean, as soon as BitTorrent became a thing, all bets were off, you know what I mean? As soon as BitTorrent became a thing, it was just like, oh dear God, I have access to everything at super high speeds. Here I go. And I made the mistake of making my my external hard disk drives the location of where all my torrents were going. It was my archived hard drive. I saved my work on the end of every year. Oh, no thank you. That's awful. I'm sorry. Hopefully you've recovered? But yeah, I pretty consistently, I think it happened to me 3 times, just had my external hard drive crash and lose like 5 years of work multiple times. And you would have thought I would have learned, and I kind of did, because after the second time it happened, I couldn't just chalk it up to dumb luck anymore, and I started backing up my super important stuff in other places. But yeah, watching 3 hard drives brick sucks. And also, don't BitTorrent things if you can help it. I know shit's expensive, and some companies aren't worth supporting. And you wouldn't have bought it either way, but don't BitTorrent stuff. The chances of your computer getting digital AIDS are really high. Found a lot more recent stuff online and on Discord, and some of my oldest just burnt CDs, but a good chunk has gone to the ether. That hurts. I guess that is one positive of not being a creative, and not being very creative in general is that I didn't have a chance to lose that stuff because I never made it. So nowadays, now that I'm starting to get creative, a lot more of my stuff has a lot more redundant you know, copies of it. Hey Shiny Mew Paints, how's it going? How are you doing? Your collection of cool minis is growing by the day, and it's really fun to see that happen. So thank you for continuing to shower us with your art. It is very good. Right now, I am just fighting this stupid orange. It's so bad. But that is because this orange is going to be a base for yellow. And that's where the fun is going to come in, because it's going to be a very vibrant base. So like the gloves and the belt and the neck collar and the boots, those are all going to be like incredibly vibrant. I will say something else that's been kind of interesting to deal with is since these models came pre-assembled and in a large part pre-primed, I didn't get a chance to clean them off and clean them up as much as I would like to. So there's definitely parts where there's just like little sprue bits still hanging on because the client wasn't able to remove them. And it is one of those things of like, man, I wish I had a chance to do so, but you know, it is what it is. But yeah, just as a general rule of thumb, guys, and most of you are probably already aware of this, but please clean up your models before you prime them, because otherwise you're leaving on a lot of little bitty bobs that don't look good. Now, I mean, honestly, if you don't care, then fine, go for it. Do whatever you want. Have fun. They're your models. But if you want your models to look their best and you're concerned about that kind of stuff, shave down the mold lines and try and get rid of the bits of sprue that get stuck on them. It does so much for the overall look of the mini. Okay. He's now very orange. Reassembled by the owner? Yes. When he gave them to me, they were just in actually, funnily enough, in a pizza box, and like not a pizza box, one of those small Domino's pizza boxes that they used to stack the pizza on, so it wasn't just sitting on your front porch. But it was in that, and most of them were spray primed already. So much of your old Space Marine helmets with the old mold line. I know, right? So like, it was in this, which is a pizza pedestal, I guess. And I don't know if you have this over in Europe, but Domino's, they would put this down on your porch so that when they put the pizza down, it would rest on this, and that way your cold concrete slab of a porch doesn't suck all of the heat out of the pizza. And I guess it was a good enough carry case for them to use, put all of these minis on. You don't order pizza enough to know if we do or don't? That's fair. Yeah, pizza is definitely one of those American staples of cheap fast food. Though, unfortunately, with how things are going economically, cheap is definitely not a thing anymore. I end up having to pay more after fees and everything for fast food pizza than I do for an actual sit-down meal of quality food at a mom and pop restaurant. And all that's done is encourage me to eat more good mom and pop food. We have a restaurant in the area that does really, really good Japanese food. And they closed down for a while, and when they did, I seriously contemplated moving. Because they were one of the reasons why I was still living here. But the owner was kind of semi-retired already, because he used to be like the head chef at a Japanese steakhouse. And he opened this other restaurant so he could cook more traditional Japanese food, which was, you know, one of the best things to happen to our little city. And pizza always sounds good. I love pizza. And he closed down, and it was like, well, I don't have much of a reason to stay here. But around the same time we found that out, we also started frequenting this Korean restaurant that was much closer, and their food was really good, so that kind of became our date spot. Like, we went there for Valentine's Day, we'd go there for anniversaries, and so that was a thing for a while. And then they closed down, and it's like, man, you guys really want me to move out of here. And QB was especially upset because that was like our special place, and she wanted us to grow old and be able to go there and have kids, and have the kids grow old and have the owners know about our kids, and yada yada yada. But they left, and as they left, they mentioned that the place that was taking over was the Japanese restaurant. And so it was like the most bittersweet celebration ever. If fast food prices are cheaper than better food, why stick with the fast food? That's usually the case. We actually don't eat a lot of fast food anymore, specifically because of that, and also because McDonald's gave QB horrific food poisoning when she went down to her parents to purchase a car. So she doesn't eat fast food pretty much ever anymore. And because she's not eating it as often, I rarely eat fast food. But I grew up on a lot of the fast food, and so that means my body just naturally craves to hurt itself every now and then. And honestly, in the case of Pizza Hut and pizza, it somehow doesn't really count. And sometimes you just crave bad pizza. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just crave food that you know is terrible for you and is of low quality, but your brain's like, I need to insert garbage in my body right now. But again, it's not something we do regularly. We are far more likely to go to a good restaurant than get fast food. Because like we just said, it's not worth the money anymore. So something that I'm having to learn, and I appreciate QB for educating me on this, there is no bad pizza, just pizza that hasn't been eaten. Like Taco Bell, you're hungry. I'm sorry, Lotus K, I didn't mean to do this to you. And yes, Taco Bell is the king of the trash heap. I love Taco Bell. Taco Bell is probably my favorite fast food joint. And yeah, I do widely agree with that, Dark Volt. Pizza is incredibly hard to screw up, and you know you've been to a bad place when that place can't even do pizza right. But yeah, I'm gonna get off the subject of food before Lotus K just eats their computer, because I know I would start doing that as soon as food started getting mentioned like that. Okay, once again, this is a weird one because there's so many ridges and there's so many high spots. And, actually, you know what? I can't. Grilled cheese burritos. Gosh. Isidore, how dare you? What's going to be interesting about this is going to look like just a jumbled mess of yellows until the highlight phase, where I can clearly delineate and edge highlight some of these spots. And right now it's going to read as very orange simply because I'm going over this orange with an orange yellow. So we're probably not going to hit that yellow until the highlight phase. I mean, you can kind of see it. You guys are evil. I mean, admittedly, I had a pretty good dinner. QB made pork chops, and QB's a good cook. And I heated up a sweet potato, and I had some rice. But you can kind of see the yellow starting to do something on the left boot. But we'll eventually see it more so as I continue moving in with brighter colors. Oh, speaking of, I'm gonna let's go the other way with this. Speaking of food and things that exist, so one of my coworkers is kind of a bro, and I don't mean that in a bad way because he's a pretty cool guy, but he's also like a weightlifter and really watches his macros and watches his diet. But he came in today and like ran to the bathroom. No, he didn't run to the bathroom yet. He was like, "Hey Benry, do you want some coffee?" And I went, "Yeah, sure." and he showed me he had like a jug of Dunkin' Donuts iced coffee, and he was like, "Here, do you have a cup?" And I went, "No, not really." And he said, "Okay, one moment." He ended up pouring a portion of it, not a large portion, but a portion of it into his cup, and then just gave me the bottle and was like, "Okay, here you go. This is all I want." And it's like, "Okay, whatever, cool." And then I didn't really think about it, but a few minutes later, he got up to go use the bathroom, and he didn't come back for a while. And when he did not look happy. And I was looking at this this mostly drunk bottle of Dunkin' Donuts iced coffee when I noticed that the expiration date on it was for 7 days ago. And I don't know why he didn't tell me that he gave me 7-day expired Dunkin' Donuts iced coffee. But apparently, the bit he drank immediately made him sick, and so he had to run to the bathroom and purge the demons. And so I got a laugh out of that, and then I told him that he's made an even bigger mistake, because while I'm not going to drink this, I am going to keep it in my filing cabinet in the drawer without any files in it until either it starts making noises or it crawls out of my filing cabinet. So now I have a bottle with like a cup full of Dunkin' Donuts iced coffee sitting in my filing cabinet at work. And I can't wait until I forget about it for like a month. And then I open up that filing cabinet and I am assailed with the absolute worst smell known to mankind. So yeah, I don't know if that's good. That reminds you? No, that can't remind you of anything. Please don't let that remind you of things. Okay. Now the weird thing about this is having to get these areas where like the coat is kind of covering it, because I really should. But at the same time, these aren't going to be seen by pretty much anyone. So at this point, it's kind of a vanity project. But at the same time, I would also be mad at myself if I knew that I didn't bother coloring in something that should have been colored in. So I suppose that's what I'm going to do. You think you're going to throw away I have a frap from McDonald's in my mini fridge. It's about a year old, maybe more. Oh. You're going to open up that mini fridge and a Nurgling is just going to pop out. A little, like, blobby roll of flesh is just going to roll out of there and look up at you, and it's going to be like, "Daddy?" Reminds me of when you were in the military. When we got our last room after training, we got some extra empty lockers we were allowed to use as long as we had hot locks for them, and I left a loaf of bread in yours because you forgot. That seems dangerous. That seems exceptionally dangerous. I mean, you clearly survived, which is good, but that scares me. Speaking of, I had a roommate in college that used to do that. You did not eat the loaf. Just opening the door for a second summons a Nurgling. Exactly. Yeah, I had a roommate who used to do that. My freshman year of college. Really nice guy. I liked him a lot. Taught me a lot about sports and stuff because I was a nerd who didn't know about sports. But one thing he also taught me is how much I hate when other people leave huge, horrifying messes, because he would. And we bought a stand-up fridge. So it was bigger than a mini fridge, but it was smaller than a fridge, right? And he would buy stuff like roast beef, just lunch meat roast beef, and then he would forget about it. And one time when we were cleaning out the fridge, he found the roast beef, and it was just straight up black ooze. It wasn't even solid anymore. It was this soft, liquidy black ooze because it had been sitting in there for so long. So when we ended up moving into an apartment, it had like 2 branches of bedrooms, and I definitely chose the side that he was not on. Yeah, it literally dissolved into ooze because it had been in there for so long. And that made me sad because it was wasteful for one, and for two, it was in there for a long time, which means that it shared the same air as some of my food that had been in there. So, yeah, I wished to die. I don't know if any of these stories are helping you not be hungry, Lotus K, or if they're just making you sad. Either way, I'm sorry, I think. But what I am doing right now is continuing to add just a little bit of yellow. You're still hungry? Yeah, Lotus, get yourself something nice. If, of course, if you can afford it. But get yourself something nice. Get yourself like $15 worth of Taco Bell off the dollar menu, the value menu, because dollar menu doesn't exist anymore. I did that one time. I went to Taco Bell with a friend, and he was a big lad, still is. But he bought like big lad foods. He bought a couple of big meal stuff, and seemed to be happy with that. And I wanted to stretch my money as far as it would go, so I think I bought like $10 worth of stuff off of the value menu. And we took it back to my place and we hung out, and I just kept kind of like pulling stuff out of a bag and eating it. And because it would be like, you know, a 5-layer burrito or whatever the cheapest one is. And then I'd eat it. And then I'd reach in and pull out a soft taco. And then I'd eat it. And then I'd pull out like one of the potato burritos, and then I'd eat it. And after like 4 of these, I noticed that he was just looking at me and kind of silently giggling to himself. And I realized it was because he just found the idea of me having this endless bag of shitty Taco Bell to be really funny. Blame the internet for telling you to get a dog nut. A dog nut does sound good. I like it. It's the $3 menu now. Good God. America's going in the wrong direction. How dare they? A full grocery bag of candy, chips, and Pringles. I know, right? But yeah, I guess he had never seen that before, even though he comes from a family that likes to eat. He used to joke, I didn't get this fat on accident, which I still think is a very funny way of saying it. But I guess the sight of just an endless bag of Taco Bell made him laugh. And it's something I kind of aspire. Doc Ock looks like he's making an ice cream cone. If this were my Doc Ock, he would be making an ice cream cone. But since this is not, he's making some kind of anti-Spider-Man potion dealy, I guess. He's making... Actually, I don't know. I don't know ice cream very well to say what would be a bad flavor as a meme. So I'm going to refrain from that, because all I know are good ice cream cone flavors. Actually, speaking of ice cream, you know what ice cream I really miss? You could see the vision. I know, right? That's what we call inspiration, baby. I miss Choco Tacos. I don't know if you guys ever had them, but I think they've been discontinued, and I think that's one of the biggest travesties of the 21st century. Because Choco Tacos were good, or Coco Tacos, or whatever you want to call them. Oh, whatever Rick and Morty flavor was out there for a while. Ew. Rick and Morty makes me so sad. That show had so much promise, and was so silly and irreverent in the right way for a while. And then, what seems to always happen is mediocre men got a hold of it and decided that the only things you needed to remember about the show were that Rick is who you're supposed to emulate, and obnoxious screaming is what you're supposed to do at all times. And yeah, that made me sad, because I thought the show was so good until it was ruined by people making it not good. You think Choco Tacos are still around? They might be. I just remember hearing a while ago that they weren't. And of course it's the internet, so it could be anything. I have no clue. I just know that I used to really like them. And then I stopped eating them, and then I heard they were gone. So, excuse me and apologies for possibly spreading misinformation about Choco Tacos. They do not deserve that kind of slander. It messes with Taco Tuesday. There's a place down the street from where I live that does Taco Tuesday, and I so want to make them lose colossal amounts of money with the amount of tacos I could eat on Taco Tuesday, but unfortunately, QB doesn't like Mexican food, Tex-Mex, the same way I do. So going and getting tacos on Taco Tuesday would be a colossal waste of time for her and money. So we don't. One of these days I will. There's also another place on the opposite side of the street that does like the most amazing traditional tacos. And so whenever I have to choose what kind of tacos I'm going to have, I will choose that place 10 times out of 10. Okay, I got a little bit of orange up here when I was painting back over the collar. So I'm just going to take some of my old color and put it back on. I think for this guy, the highlightiest highlight colors are eventually going to go all the way up to Averland Sunset, as opposed to being this mixture of Averland Sunset and flat green that I've got going on. But for right now, that's going to be fine. Have I considered making my own tacos? I do all the time, but I do it the bad way with the Tex-Mex version, so it's not as good. And I don't have the courage to try and make traditional tacos. Because a huge part of it, if you would believe, is having the right tortilla. And that requires you to actually home make the tortilla. And I'm scaled. I am a scaled little baby when it comes to making tortilla. And what I'm mainly scared of is it's not going to be as good as when it's made by the restaurant that I go to. Add French fries. Oh my god! QB just scared the shit out of me. I just see the shit. I don't have my glasses in. Why would you do that? I have music in my ears. I have my earbuds in. It's scaring the shit out of me. So the basement is not super well lit, and so I look over, and just out of the corner of my very astigmatized eyes, I just see this shape shaking at me. And it's backlit, so it just looks like a freaking Mothman who's down here being like, "I'm gonna eat your face." I'm sorry. No, don't scare me more. I may poo myself. How are you doing, dear? Okay, it's fine. Darkbolt says your wife is a shadow creature for fun. Yes, she is. She has a Mothman onesie, and we have pictures of it. We need to blur out the face so we can send it in for Community Day one day. Possibly. Oh yeah, possibly. Yeah, if you're okay with your face being on the internet, because I haven't. Or on. That is true. Yeah, you're at. That's right. Yeah, your avatar is you. Your avatar is not an animal yet. So, yeah, eventually she's going to have a moth woman avatar. But right now, it's her. Yeah. Okay. Yes, Lotus K. She has a Mothman onesie. If you want to see it at some point, you're gonna have to watch a Doig Swift, because at the end of the month they do Community Day, and that's where they. Huh? Oh, the cat came downstairs. They're not allowed down here. Oh, okay. Fair enough. But yeah, we do Community Day. You want to know where she got it? Hey, QB, at some point, can you send me the link to the Mothman onesie so I can send it to Lotus K? Got it from Amazon. Oh, well, we're not getting anything from Amazon anytime soon. That's okay. Yeah, I'll go ahead and look in the previous purchases and I'll find it again. And yes, Darkbolt, Tuna was trying to make their way down the stairs, but Tuna is not allowed down here because the basement is unfinished, and I've got like glue traps for insects because animals don't get down here. So glue traps are perfectly legal. but I would not use glue traps if there were mice or anything down here, because glue traps are horrifically inhumane to things with feelings. So yeah, no, she was just down here getting her Scooby-Doo blanket because she was cold. And so I guess in the meantime, she also decided she needed to get her husband a heart attack. Because you guys missed it, but I jumped like a good 2 feet in the air from seating. Because it scared me. I was scared. Okay. But yeah, what else can I do here? I think I'm getting to the point where I just need to make things brighter. I'm sorry for anyone who came in here to be like, hey, I wonder what Ben Repaints is doing. Only to hear Ben Repaints turn into a blubbering mess because Ben Repaints got scared. Because there was definitely no painting going on there for a minute. That should be okay. Keep Discord one on your Discord. I will definitely do that, Shiny Mew Paints. It'll just be a moment because I decided, against my better judgment, to really go hard on this mini. So I'm actually trying to do this as technically sound as I can. And that means I've really got to focus in, but I will definitely peep it in a second. I appreciate you showing more cool stuff. QB just... Oh boy! Thank you for getting that on there. Thank you for clipping that. Okay, so got the belt. This is definitely going to go up in color, but that's where it is right now. Let's look at Discord. Oh, there's a butt. Ooh, I never know what it's called. Is it crocheting or is it knitting? You're knitting a sweater. Oh, and you got your video of all of your minis. Very cool. We're gonna go ahead and put that on the thing. So window capture, showcase, load, visible. There we go. So this is all the stuff that Shiny Mew Paints has been working on. They've amassed quite a collection, and so that's pretty cool. I'm gonna mute that just because I don't know if that's gonna. Oh no, where'd it go? I did it. Ah. So yeah, your little collection is growing. It blows my mind how small some of those gobos are. Oh, there's a Necron. Very cool. There's all the lads and ladies. I'm saying this as an observation, but man, you really like Twin Goddess Miniatures goblins. And I mean, I can see why. They are very cool. Oh, hey look, there's Jesse. Why is that the only one that I recognize? That's some Spec Marines and there's an Orc. I think, is that supposed to be Harley Quinn up front, or did you two-tone it to look like Harley Quinn? And let's see what else we got back there. I want that one in the back to be Karlach, but I don't think that's it. You did a really good job on this one. This one's very cool. It might just be the lighting, but it looks very very bombastic. Look at all the lads and ladies. Look at all the lads and ladies. Okay, I got it. Good for me. And the one in the back is a She-Hulk Gobbo? Yeah. Where'd it go? Oh, the one that I wanted to be, I was saying needs to be Karlach. Yeah, possibly. Either that I missed it, or is this a She-Hulk Gobbo? I can't tell. My glasses are off, if you can't tell. And then we've got this beautiful scarf that's being made. I think it's a scarf. It looks like a scarf. Very cool. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. I like being able to see other people's cool stuff, because while I do paint, I don't paint so people can be like, oh, cool, look at what Ben Repaints is doing. I paint because I'd like for there to be a community that makes cool stuff. One's Red She-Hulk and the other one is Standard She-Hulk. Okay. I was close. I had the right idea. Yeah, but yeah, I'd rather have a community that makes cool stuff and gets to show off their cool stuff to other people. That's my end goal here. So the fact that you guys are willing to show off your stuff and your art, and hopefully it encourages you to do more, that's kind of my main goal. I like that that's what's kind of happening. Okay. And again, I will say, while I am very much enjoying painting these, they are giving me a greater appreciation for Games Workshop's sculpting. Because some of the sculpting details on these minis. You got some crappy microwave Chinese food, you are no longer hungry? Oh, don't start me with Chinese food. Americanized Chinese food is the thing that I'm going to die eating. Because American General Tso's chicken is like simultaneously my comfort food and my staple food. I love General Tso's chicken. Or left to do the flesh on, but getting tired. Well, that's absolutely fair. I do know it's considerably later across the pond for you than it is for me. It's like 8:30 where I am. But thank you for hanging out while you painted. I appreciated you being here. Okay. Now, if I remember right, I did something similar to this color stuff when I painted Torgaradon. And Torgaradon it's 0:41 a.m. Good God. I can't stay up late like that anymore, guys. That's too much for me. I think Asian crispy chicken and crispy duck is your kryptonite. I know, right? I've never had crispy duck, and that's because I don't want to have that Squidward moment where he just goes berserk and starts eating everything in sight. Because I like duck, and I feel like crispy duck might actually cause me to do that. Like, they'd put a crispy duck in front of me, and my brain would be like, okay, I'll eat half of this and be fine. And then I'll bite into it. And then I'm going to choke on the carcass because I'm probably going to eat the whole thing at once. Yes, duck is very good. It makes me sad that ducks themselves are so damn cute because I want to eat duck. What kind of surprised me the most, culinarily, flavor-wise, I don't know, was frog legs. There used to be a buffet at the college I went to that I'm pretty sure was a front. And I had heard rumors that the owner had fled the country due to tax evasion. And they had left their wife there. And so their wife was the one kind of running it. And they had frog legs there. Gonna call it, have a good stream. Thank you, Red. Have a good evening. Have a good sleep. But they had frog legs there. And I remember not being impressed with the flavor of frog legs, but texturally they were basically like dark meat chicken. So, yeah. I guess that meant I liked cheap buffet frog legs. Which, now that I think about it, it's a little weird. Oh, I was talking about the sculpts of GW minis compared to Marvel. Yeah, sorry about going so far off the pond, or so far off the rails about that. But yeah, it just seems like GW sculpts are just kind of in a league of their own. Because on a technical level, I've got to sneeze. On a technical level, I've got to sneeze again. It's stuck in there. On a technical level, GW sculpts just seem to be so clean and so densely detailed without feeling muddy. And Doc Ock is supposed to be one of... Thank you. Doc Ock is supposed to be one of the better put together sculpts in recent memory for Marvel Crisis Protocol. And I agree, this is a great sculpt. But I would also like to say that there are some details on here that are kind of a mess. And the best example off the immediate top of my head would be the boots. Because there's a lot going on with the boots, and it's kind of hard to read where like the straps stop and the rest of it starts. Thank you, guys. Like, I'm gonna go back into Camo Studio real quick, and I'm actually also going to like zoom out and change some of the focus. So zooming back out, changing to autofocus, and zooming back in. Like, I don't know what's going on with these boots because they've got so many different pipes and segments to them that it's kind of hard to read where like the clasps are versus where the boot is versus where what could be a mold line. So it really is a case of like, I'm not sure what I'm doing here. Thankfully they're monocolored, so it doesn't matter too much. Also, this is actually a pretty good shot to see more of the detail of the color work that I did earlier, to really try and bring out like the pant wrinkles and the individual muscle bits. Yep, there's the lad. Okay, so I can do that. Put it back in focus there, and hopefully that'll be okay. Yeah, I don't know if that reinforces my point or not, but I just feel like if Games Workshop had put this together, I would know exactly what I'm looking at any given time on any part of this model. Just how much painting the mini is up to artist interpretation. That is also true. I also don't want to say that I'm trying to badmouth Atomic Mass Games, which I believe are the creators of Marvel Crisis Protocol, because I will be also honest, these are some of my favorite models I've painted. They've all been exceptionally fun to paint. And to some extent, I've got to wonder how much of this is up to the cleanup of the artist who originally put these together. Because before they got primed, this might have looked very different. You know what I mean? But who knows? Sometimes GW minis are hard to read, but for the most part they are great. Yeah, that is true. I mean, I feel like I've either been just very lucky or very, like, blinded, but almost every mini I've put together that's come out in the past 5 or so years has been, like, crystal clear. In ways that other mini companies have not been. Though again, I think that's a lot of that is probably some bias on my part. Because then you get details like this, where they've got like the individual knuckles on the glove, and they look fantastic, and they're super identified. So who knows? Probably just me showing some homerism there. Okay. I think I need to move up a color, because I think I'm just kind of reiterating the same color, and it's drying down to the previous color that I was trying to go over and highlight. I know that's why when I catch a muddy detail, I try and carve it out to make it more understandable for myself. That is true. What is on this man's backpack? Yeah, I guess so. Admittedly, I'll get a look at that in a minute, because I do actually have a set of Krieg veterans, Isidore, that I'm going to get to paint soon, which I think you're already aware of, because I was excited and mentioned I'm going to try and emulate your scheme, since it's very well done traditional Krieg, and that's what my buddy wants. But from what I've seen, for the most part, they seem to do a pretty darn good job of it. Okay. And also, I've mentioned it before, but if you guys like turn-based strategy, squad-based skirmish games like XCOM and the like, Mechanicus slaps very hard, and I'm really bad at it, but I really like it as a game. So I recommend people buy it. Okay. Have I seen the Boomba and the Engineers? Yes, but not in their unpainted form, I don't think. I've only seen promo shots of them, where, of course, the artists have had plenty of time to make it look as good as possible. I think I'm at the point now with the yellow details that I kind of have to go all the way up to Averland Sunset, which is going to explode off of this model now. Because even though it's a fairly orangey yellow by itself, because it's going on as like the third highlight layer, it's going to read very loud. At least in the current light that I'm in. And then when I start putting on the ice yellow as the true highlight, it's going to read almost as white. And again, that's just between like my ridiculous lighting and the contrast in colors. Uh-oh. Did I run out of music? Holy crap, I ran out of music. Do it again. Give me more music. More music. Yes. Back to the beginning. You're finally done and you're working on the heavy weapons team. Oh, speaking of Isidore, did you see the Station Forge heavy weapons team? It's not as good as the Games Workshop one, but it's like, wow, I really wanted the Games Workshop model, and this will be a nice thing to hold me over until I buy it. because it is exceptionally good. All I know is I do want to build a guard army at some point, just because the story of the guard just keeps being so appealing, you know. But at the same time, I don't want to have to paint that many troops, but I know I'm going to, and I'm just kind of bracing myself for it. So I'm just counting down the days till that happens. Okay. And again, part of the big deal with doing this kind of highlighting is that you're doing less and less work each layer, and that's because it kind of draws the eye to the highlight point of whatever you're painting. So you don't want to repaint over the same amount each time. You want to paint a little less, and that way it creates a focal point for your eyes to focus on. And so your eyes kind of naturally will blend together the transitions between the darkest spots and the lightest spots. And even though it may not be the smoothest thing in the world, your eyes will kind of do the work for you, which is really nice. And one of the best parts about this is learning how to do that, because as QB once told me, art is about lying to your eyes. And I've mentioned this before. I think I've mentioned this quite a bit, but it's such a good lesson to learn. Art is about lying to your eyes. You are trying to tell your eyes that something is three-dimensional when it's very clearly not. And the better you are at your art, in a lot of cases, the more convincing you are at lying to your eyes. So that's something to keep in mind as you paint, if you're trying to go for that style of painting. If you're not, then do whatever you want and have fun with it. Find your own voice in your own style, right? At least that's kind of how I think about it. Because there is no right or wrong way to paint, especially the meanies. They're for your own enjoyment. So whatever way you get the most enjoyment out of painting them is the way you should paint them. I don't know. I've talked about it before, but one of my favorite things, one of my favorite retorts is whenever someone judges your taste or your preference in things, especially when it's things like that are personal, like the design or the decor of your house or of your army or whatever else you have, and someone gets judgy and critical about it, just be like, okay, well, when you do your own version of this, then you can make it whatever you want. And I feel like that rings true a lot in life. And if you keep that in mind as you think about other people's stuff, it'll prevent you from being a jackass. Now, obviously, if personal harm is coming to someone, that's a whole different story. But if it's just like you like lime green furniture, and that's your thing, then fucking go for it. Okay. So this is just Averland Sunset. This isn't actually a bright color. And I'm not sure, again, I think its reading is pretty darn bright on the camera. Yeah, that's, I've already hit that. But like I said, with Doc Ock, we're going to have to go all the way up to ice yellow to get some of the true highlight colors we're looking for. Also, I don't know if you guys know, and I'm going to assume most of you already do, but Steam is having another having their spring sale, and they have really good deals on stuff. So if you have any games you've been holding out on getting, I would go ahead and check and see if potentially Steam has it as part of its spring sale, and save yourself a boatload of money. Like, I just got paid for the Witch Hunter commission that I did. Oh, I'm not even on screen. I'm sorry, guys. And I saw the Steam sale, and I saw that basically every Yakuza game is like $10. And I'm fighting the urge to spend all of my commission money on all of the Yakuza games. So, make better decisions than me and spend all your money on the Yakuza games. Because the Yakuza games, if you didn't know any better, or didn't know, are really good. And I wish I had more time in the day to play them all. Same thing here. A little bit brighter. Not covering the entire thing. And again, we've done another layer. What's the point of having money if you can't spend it? That is true. But unfortunately, I think this might be the first spending money I have. And I want it to go towards Fulgrim. Like, I want to own the new Fulgrim. And I don't know what my financial situation is going to look like. So I want to save this money for the Fulgrim. And I also need to buy some more art supplies because I am very rapidly running low on both paints and other stuff. Like, I don't have any more magnets or metal discs from which to attach the magnets. So a lot of the secondary things that I use for my armies and my minis needs to be replenished as well. So that's the main reason why I have not bought all of the Yakuza games. Otherwise, this stream would probably be me playing Yakuza games. All of them, at the same time, across like 3 different computers. Which, as I say this, I would be deadly curious to see how that would play out. So what I've done is I don't have Ice Yellow. I have what is called Dorn Yellow, which I'm pretty sure is meant to be like an Ice Yellow highlight, because that's how it reads. It's a very, very bright yellow. And Ben Replays, that wouldn't be a bad secondary name for that channel. Thank you. Just every one of them is just Benry, but he's doing something else silly or fun. But yeah, if I had more time to dedicate to this, guys, I would definitely be playing some kind of video game. I'd probably be playing Rogue Trader because I've talked about it so much. And I think what I would probably do is poll the audience to see what kind of horrible decisions I make. Because I would probably want to play an Iconoclast weenie because I am a baby who doesn't like to do bad things. And I think Henry cooks for the taco streams. Good gourd. I am not a bad cook. I could cook for taco streams. But I think having chat choose what 40k related ideas I make would be for a very fun stream. So yeah, if I ever do a Ben Replays, I think that might be the first one. Is I'll play Rogue Trader, and I'll just keep letting chat choose what I do, and then I will have the most schizophrenic and intellectually inconsistent Rogue Trader that's ever traveled the Coronis Expanse, and it'll be fine. Okay, now hopefully what I can start doing now is, especially since these are like getting to the highlights, is I'm just kind of doing like little switchy swatchies, and they're making very bright highlights on the model, and really bringing a lot of these other highlights other transitionary colors I've been doing really to the forefront. Of course, there is probably a far more technical term than swishy swashies, but that is the one I am using. Dot in there, little dot in there. And so yeah, you can probably really see it, but the boot is now very loud. And that is what I wanted. Especially compared to the other one. Actually, something I need to do is I need to go ahead and get something set up. Give me a moment, please. I will be right back. Let's see if I actually have volume turned on. I do not. Good, fantastic. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like that there are many people streaming right now. That's okay. We'll just have to find someone new. Okay, a little bit more. And this isn't just Ice White, by the way. This is a blend of Ice White and Averland Sunset. And eventually, at just the very kind of pointy bits and corners, the Ice White is going to get its say. So yeah, right now is just kind of me doing some very gentle edge highlighting in an attempt to make them edges highlighted. It's dumb sounding, I apologize. Kind of the same thing there. And this one I don't think is going to need as much of a highlight because it's kind of tucked under the other foot. So I think more of it can go without getting that last highlight. Just little flicks of it here and there sell some of the colors. A little bit of that. I do gotta say, this guy turned out pretty good. I was not expecting the details to really pop the way they are, but it looks like I'm doing an okay job. Yep, there are the boots. The boots. And see, they start off with that orange, which now looks considerably darker in contrast to the highlight, but it still reads as yellow. It just reads as yellow under high contrast. So that all worked out real nicely. Onto the belt. Now again, I'm not going to do a whole highlight all the way across, just on some of the key spots where the light would shine the brightest. And see, I'll be honest, army painting has really begun to lose its appeal for me, and a big part of it is because I have a lot more fun really honing in on like one model and painting that one model really friggin' good. So while I can still army paint, and while it is still something that I do enjoy, I do not enjoy it anywhere near as much as I enjoy doing this, because as I mentioned before, I can actually paint these guys at about one model an hour. And I've spent, what is it now, almost 2 hours on this one guy. And all I've done so far really are the yellow parts and the green parts of his suit. I haven't even finished doing those, but he looks so darn good. And that's where the real fun to me comes in, is because I like seeing how far I can push it. Okay, so what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go back and hit some of the highlights on his suit, on the green part of his suit. So I've mixed in more Averland Sunset against the green, and that's creating a much brighter kind of lime green. And I'm going to go back and I'm only going to try and hit like the highest spots. So the spots that would be highest and most displayed and catch the most amount of light. And what that should do, if I play my cards right, is really accentuate the wrinkles on this suit. Kind of do the same thing across the creases. That was a bit aggressive. Too much liquid on that one. Same thing, just the slightest, and I do mean slightest amount right there, because you don't need a whole lot. And that's kind of the fun of doing these last highlights, is that they're really just kind of knowing exactly where to place the light on the high point on each shape on the model. And I'm not an expert at it. I'm actually not very good at it. But this is a great way to learn and get better because your model's going to pass the eyeball test, you know what I mean? And that's usually how you can tell whether you've done it right, is if you look at it and it looks natural. Like, your brain doesn't see anything wrong with it. Because when your brain sees something wrong with it, that's kind of your brain telling you that it's not quite done correctly. And I'm pretty sure there's actually something more technical to it, because there are artists who get educated on this stuff, and I'm not one of them. So I'm pretty sure someone who is far better developed in their art education, like Hubie, could tell you exactly why that happens. Because, you know, they spent actual time in a school learning it versus kind of picking it up by just headbutting a wall a bunch. Which is kind of how I learned it. But this is where having a nice fine tip on your brush comes into play, because then you can do these little highlights and make them look more natural, since your brush isn't leaving a ton of markings on the Mini. Because if you try and do this with a brush that has a much less refined tip and holds on to too much moisture or whatever, then you can't really get these very subtle shots anywhere near as well. And I think after I finish this, I'm actually going to go ahead and call it for the evening. Just because it seems like a good place to stop and not have to commit into doing something else that will take a lot of time and effort. Which stinks, because I'm having a lot of fun. I don't know if this is entertaining at all to you guys, or if y'all are just vibing, which is also cool. But it's something that I kind of miss about being able to stream more regularly. Back when I first started, I was I think I was streaming for longer, and I was streaming more often, but I don't have the time to do that anymore. And so I've kind of got to make compromises where I can. And I mean, that's fine, don't get me wrong. I'm thankful for the chances that I do get, but I would definitely love to be able to spend more time on stream hanging out and painting. And yeah, now his green is done. I think I could go brighter if I want to, and I might actually do so on when I get another look at this tomorrow. But honestly, I think this turned out pretty good. He's got a hair right there. There's a lot of variance to this model, and I mean that in terms of just kind of color. And hopefully, I don't know, maybe watching this helped you guys kind of see how some of that was done. Because it really is about light placement, and unfortunately, the best way to get better at light placement is to, first of all, watch other people do it and listen to them explain it, but also to do it yourself. Because, again, your eyes start seeing what looks good and what doesn't. Like, you know what doesn't look good? What makes me very sad is that this is a very cool model, but he's got this ridiculous mold line all the way down his arm. But that's okay. He's just going to look fantastic when he's done regardless. So he's going to go over here, and I'm going to go ahead and see if there's someone for us to raid. So let's see who we got. I've got Electric Glacier, who is also doing a surprise Thursday stream. I feel like oh, okay, Electric Glacier is a friend of Atsu Kofuhara, and they're doing some pixel art, and it looks really neat. So unless anyone else has any suggestions for who we can watch, I'm going to send us over to Electric Glacier. Okay, I'm going to send us over to Electric Glacier. Once again, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I had a great time. I hope you guys did too. I wish I could spell electric right. There we go. You're going to get to see some cool pixel art, because, man, that does look really freaking good. So let's go ahead and get this raid started. Thank you for joining me, guys. Okay, we're raiding Electric Glacier. Thank you again for joining me, guys. I hope you had a good time. I hope you have a great weekend, and I'll see you when I can next see you. Possibly next Thursday. Bye-bye.